You'll be excused to think that this is a church, but as is the case across the UK, we've took it over. It's now actually a mosque, a masjid. Christianity is depleting, atheism is unfulfilling, Islam is here and is here to stay. The British people, they may not like it, but as is the case with many things, there may be something which you don't like, which is good for you. So carry on making those churches for us, keep them empty, we'll buy them in a few years' time and we'll make them into a mosque.
You wouldn't believe what Britain is turning into. Many fear that Britain, which is a Christian nation, is becoming an Islamic country. The question on everyone's mind is whether Britain is still safe. The sentiment among many is that enough is enough. It seems that Christianity is being sidelined in favour of Islam. Christians are no longer allowed to pray in the streets, while Islamic chants are permitted. The British are gradually becoming an Islamic country, and this is unacceptable. I feel a sense of grief at what's happening to our country's identity and wonder what will be left for my children to recognise when they come to inherit the land I grew up in. Easter celebrations are being cancelled in British schools, while Keir Starmer stands and celebrates Islamic chants. The question remains, is Britain being eaten up by Islam? I don't think I've ever been left quite as gobsmacked about a story as I have today, and it takes a lot to get me rattled. A primary school in England has reportedly scrapped Easter celebrations and services in order to respect other religions and diversity. They've cancelled Easter, but get this, they're still celebrating Refugee Week instead. Make your opinion count by liking this video and promoting it for more awareness. Also share and subscribe to our channel for upcoming updates. Let's challenge the narrative together. You wouldn't see this in the mainstream media. Norwood Primary School in Eastleigh, Hampshire, sent a letter to parents and carers informing them that neither their Easter bonnet parade nor their Easter service would be held this year. The letter explained that this was because of the state school's, quote, respect for diversity. It said, by not holding specific religious celebrations, we aim to create a more inclusive atmosphere that honours and respects the beliefs of all our children and their families. It went on, we understand that this change may be disappointing for some, especially those who have cherished these traditions over the years. However, we believe that this decision aligns with our values of inclusivity and respect for diversity. We are exploring alternative ways to celebrate the season in future years that will be inclusive of all the children and reflect the rich cultural diversity of our community. And, unbelievably, the letter added that the school planned to celebrate Refugee Week in June. Yes, Refugee Week. So what do we know about the school? Its latest Ofsted report said the quality of education at Norwood Primary needed improvement. Inspectors wrote, the school's curriculum is currently underdeveloped. While the school is ambitious for pupils' success, some pupils do not achieve high enough. It went on, too many pupils do not develop into fluent readers and writers. However, the school was judged as good when it came to behaviour and attitudes, personal development of children, leadership and early years provision. Tonight, I took a look at the Norwood website. The school says it promotes so-called British values, including democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty, mutual respect, and tolerance of different faiths and beliefs. I'll repeat that, tolerance of different faiths and beliefs. But I question whether its tolerance of faith extends to Christianity, because on the website, if you dig a bit deeper under the respect of faiths and beliefs page, you'll find a lack of emphasis on Christian values. Some British streets are now looking like Palestine, with 0 degree of integration. Is this what we get in return for giving a helping hand to refugees and migrants? Yet, we hear of the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, saying the problem we have in Britain is Islamophobia. We find incidents of Muslims rebelling on England's streets, to the extent of demanding a caliphate state and the establishment of Sharia laws. Britain is a Christian nation. Enough is enough. Britain must start protecting its interests for lasting peace. The erosion of Christian traditions in schools, such as the cancellation of Easter celebrations, is a clear sign that the cultural fabric of Britain is changing. The decision by Norwood Primary School to prioritise inclusivity and diversity over a major Christian holiday is indicative of a broader shift in societal values. This shift is causing concern among many who feel that their heritage and traditions are being sidelined. The situation is compounded by the visible presence of Islamic practices in public spaces. The allowance of Islamic chants while restricting Christian prayers in the streets is seen by some as a double standard. This perceived favoritism towards Islam over Christianity is fueling tensions and fears about the future of Britain's identity. The lack of integration among some migrant communities is another point of contention. When certain groups demand the establishment of Sharia laws and a caliphate state, it raises questions about their commitment to British values and the rule of law. Such demands are seen as a direct challenge to the democratic principles that underpin British society. The response from political leaders such as Keir Starmer's focus on Islamophobia is perceived by some as a failure to address the root causes of these tensions. Instead of confronting the issues head-on, there seems to be an emphasis on appeasing certain groups at the expense of others. This approach is not fostering the unity and cohesion that Britain desperately needs. The call for Britain to protect its interests and ensure lasting peace is a rallying cry for those who feel marginalised and ignored. The preservation of Christian values and traditions is seen as essential to maintaining the country's identity. The fear is that without a strong stance, Britain will continue to drift away from its roots, leaving future generations with a nation they no longer recognise. The situation at Norwood Primary School is just one example of the broader changes happening across the country. The decision to cancel Easter celebrations in favour of Refugee Week is symbolic of the shifting priorities and values. While inclusivity and diversity are important, they should not come at the cost of erasing significant cultural and religious traditions. The lack of emphasis on Christian values on the school's website further highlights the disconnect. If British values are to include tolerance of different faiths and beliefs, it must be a genuine tolerance that respects all religions equally. The current approach seems to favour one religion over another, which is not conducive to a harmonious society. The visible transformation of some British streets into areas that resemble other countries, with little integration into the broader community, is a cause for concern. The question of what Britain gets in return for its hospitality towards refugees and migrants is valid. If the result is increased tension and demands for separate legal systems, then the country needs to re-evaluate its approach. The incidents of Muslims rebelling on the streets and demanding a caliphate state and Sharia laws are alarming. These demands are not only contrary to British values, but also threaten the very foundation of the country's legal system. Britain, as a Christian nation, must stand firm in its principles and protect its interests to ensure lasting peace. The erosion of Christian traditions, the perceived favoritism towards Islam, the lack of integration, and the political response to these issues all contribute to the growing unease among many Britons. The call for action is clear. Britain must take steps to preserve its identity and ensure that all citizens feel respected and valued. This means addressing the root causes of the tensions and fostering a society where diversity is celebrated without compromising the core values that have defined the nation for centuries. In conclusion, the changes happening in Britain are causing significant concern among those who feel that their cultural and religious heritage is being eroded. The cancellation of Easter celebrations in schools, the allowance of Islamic chants while restricting Christian prayers, and the demands for Sharia laws and a caliphate state are all symptoms of a broader shift. Britain must take a stand to protect its interests and ensure lasting peace, or risk losing the very essence of what makes it a unique and cherished nation.